Hello there, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another. Hello there, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Ones Podcast. It's a place where gaming meets comics meets sports meets movies as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host, King Von Jr. You can follow me on social media on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. Follow me. Of course, I'm verified now on Twitter, by the way. Congratulations, thumbs up. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. Follow the show's Twitter page at Victory Pod One, as well as on Instagram at Victoria's Ones Podcast. Of course, I'm the social media producer for the Unpopular Reviews Wrestling Show, Perfect Flex Talk Radio on Mondays at 6 p.m. And so I must say that this was one for the books. This was definitely one for the ages. This past weekend was definitely an eventful weekend in more ways than one because of SummerSlam 2024, which took place in Cleveland. So of course, I'm going to go over the weekend wrestling. With a little bit of weekend wrestling in between that. But of course, SummerSlam was the main attraction. Now, so as far as on Friday's episode of Friday night episode of SmackDown, it, of course, it took place, and of course on that night we saw Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Fire Aladon, for the women's tag team championships. Unfortunately, they came up short. So of course, unfortunately, there were no black talent on SummerSlam card, sadly. But yeah, like I said, as far as that, but other than that, on the Go Home show, we certainly saw other highlights, especially when it came to Logan Paul and Logan Paul and LA Knight, and of course how LA Knight just made sure to bring Logan Paul's parade. Of course, as pertains to his homecoming sort of ceremony, if you will. As far as that, and then but mainly when we go back to the Bianca and Jade match, we saw interference from Blair Davenport, which cost him cost Belair and Cargill the titles. And of course, like I said, we saw LA Knight still Logan Paul's Hummer. We saw a great match with Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. You can tell they have amazing chemistry together. And so, of course, as far as that, and just Jacob Fatu, just getting a Samoan werewolf, he's absolutely unreal. And of course, the highlight for that was to see, of course, we see the Bloodline capture the WWE Tag Team titles in SummerSlam as they defeated DIY on the Go Home episode of SmackDown. So that's their first taste of gold. The first taste of like I said, of championship success. That's the first time they could decorate their resume, but still doesn't compare to the original Bloodline brought to the table, and forever bring to the table. And of course, for those that are watching by way of YouTube, go to youtube.com/@VonResper Jr. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more great content. And but yeah, like I say, I mean, with the Bloodline when the WWE tag team titles, I mean, it was inevitable that was going to happen, right? And so like I said, that was certainly the highlight. And of course, as far as that, we saw the final confrontation between Cody and Solo the night, of course, the night before SummerSlam, and then of course we also see Angel Garza versus Apollo Crews. Actually, Angel Garza and Royal Korea defeat Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. And so like I said, those are the main highlights as far as Friday. Now, when it comes to SummerSlam, that is like I said, that's the main like I said, that's the main piece of business that we'll cover for the night. And so of course, like I said, SummerSlam took place in Cleveland, Ohio, and if anything, like I said, it was a really stacked card. It definitely exceeded expectations. some more ways to win, especially when it comes to SummerSlam being, like, in my estimation, at least now probably like the second, probably like the second best show with PLE of the Big Four. Of course, WrestleMania being #1, right? And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go over this SummerSlam card right now, SummerSlam 2024, and I must say that I was pretty much really on the money when it came to my predictions. As a matter of fact, let me go give something right quick. It doesn't feel right. Say hello to your official SummerSlam predictions champion, even though there's nobody else competing against me when it comes to predictions. But I must say, this is my championship belt as far as being a predictions champion. Just with the success of SummerSlam, like I said, it was a great card overall. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go into this SummerSlam card right again. And like I said, like if anything like that, I don't really have too many gripes when it came to this year's SummerSlam. As a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, it's a card itself. Where SummerSlam kicked off with a bang, of course, by the way, with the Women's World Championship, with Liv Morgan defending the championship against Rhea Ripley, as we see that as SummerSlam 2024 marked the official implosion of the Judgment Day. And so this match wasn't so much completely about the quote wrestling per se, even though they do have great chemistry. Like I said, Liv and Rhea are great dance partners. But it was more so of furthering an obvious storyline, and it just Liv's revenge tour. That's that's really what this whole thing was about. Just completing the revenge tour, and you could tell that Liv Morgan was trying to play mind games with Ripley, and especially with every time that Rhea would chase Liv went out the ring, or anytime Liv would get back in the ring, Rhea would follow her, and she would just keep playing this cat and mouse game, and eventually they'll end up locking eyes and eventually clashing with each other. And so so of course Rhea, as we all know, is just coming back from a shoulder. And one of the things that one of Liv's strategies was to work was to key in and zero in on that shoulder, right? And so like I said, certainly great arsenal of offense, offense between each of them. And so one of the sickest things that I've seen in a while was Rhea slammed her shoulder against the announce table to pop it back into place. She was definitely coming from blood. And so, so as far as that, Liv definitely brought in her A game, especially with someone of the caliber of Rhea Ripley. And not too bad if I do say so myself. But yeah, like I said, as far as that, as far as that, Liv is certainly no slouch, especially when it comes to Rhea. And lately, I could tell that Liv's been paying attention to the internet's criticisms of calling her mid and all this other stuff like that. But like lately, when it comes to this version of Liv, there's been nothing mid about her. But like I said, as far as this match, the main subplots, obviously the love triangle with Dominic and Dominic and his cat and mouse game. This between him, Rhea, and Liv, it's like reverse of the Mega Powers storyline, where instead of Miss Elizabeth, Dominic is the one in the middle, right? It's almost feel like as a matter of fact, Michael Cole even made mention to the custody match between Rey Mysterio Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero from SummerSlam 2005. You know what I mean? So as far as that, you know, like I said, with the way the match started, you know, Liv was very apprehensive about a straightforward fight. So you just look for ways, you know, to run away and find some type of opening. Um, so of course they constantly tried to flirt with Dominic, you know, just to get under each other's skin. And so, you know, so of course eventually Rhea was able to get her hands on Liv, but you know, that, you know, at least there wasn't too much, you know, at least in the beginning. And you know, so of course Morgan was able to ram her to the corner, and then, you know, just to continue to, you know, to continue to aggravate Rhea's injury. And so you know, you know, sorry about that. So of course, you know, of course, Dominic, who initially walked Rhea to the ring, you know, showed his initial allegiance, of course, you know, by throwing himself in front of Liv Morgan's suicide dive. So it made it look like he was, you know, taking Rhea's side. Made it look like he was being some type of ally, or what, you know, of Rhea, for, you know, at least for the moment. And of course, right after that, as I said before, that's when Rhea, you know, that's when Rhea rammed her shoulder into the announce table, to, you know, to pop back into place. And Liv Morgan was you know, like I said, Liv was terrified to see that. And so of course Liv was able to counter the Riptide with a DDT before Rhea, before Ripley locked in that prism lock, that, you know, that one arm prism lock that she does. And so of course, you know, at least one of the biggest moments for Liv in the match was his crucifix driver and an armbar. And so of course, like I said, you know, like the thing is, throughout the match, Liv constantly focused on Rhea's shoulder. That was the reoccurring point of the match. And so of course, you know, of course Ripley just repeatedly just slammed her shoulder into the turnbuckle to put it back into place. And so of course Liv tried to get herself disqualified. You know, the titles don't change hands by DQ or count. And, you know, she tried to hit Rhea with a steel chair. And so of course Ripley was able to telegraph that counter and counter Liv by hitting her with the Riptide. So then this is where things start to make a turn. This is when Rhea picked up the chair instead of going for the pin. So then this is where, you know, where Dominic tried to talk sense into Rhea, saying that, you know, saying that if she hits Liv, she'll get disqualified. You know, saying that's the wrong thing to do and things like that. So with that, you know, of course, with that initial distraction, that's when Liv pushed Rhea in a Dominic and hit her with the Oblivion. So then Rhea kicks out at 2, but then Dominic comes up with a second distraction, which allowed Liv to catch Rhea off guard and hit her with another Oblivion, this time on the steel chair. And that's when Rhea was unconscious for the 1, 2, 3, you know, the winner of the match, and still women's world champion Liv Morgan, as she has completed her revenge tour. So after that, you know, Dimebag Dom, as I like to call him, handed Liv the title and kissed her right in Rhea's face. You know what I mean? I was like, man, you know, like I said, this is definitely one of the more, if not the most compelling storyline on Raw. I mean, other than Punk and Drew McIntyre. But this one, you know, just the soap opera aspect of it, you know, just takes it to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And you know, and the thing about it is that Dominic never ever kissed Rhea at all throughout their on-screen relationship with the Judgment Day. Right? He never ever did that before. Rhea will always whisper in his ear, but even with that, she never kissed Dom herself. I mean, even though the Monday before SummerSlam, um, uh, Rhea licked Dominic's cheek, but not so much as give him a lip lock, you know. Um, and so of course, Dimebag Dom, being as toxic as he is, kissed Liv right in front of Rhea as Rhea just cried. You know what I mean? Rhea was absolutely heartbroken, and so and so of course afterwards, you know, this at least this week while I was preparing, getting ready for the podcast, all I could think about was that Rolls Royce song "Love Don't Live Here Anymore." If anything, Rhea might as well have been playing that after the match was over. That or Tony Braxton's "Unbreak My Heart." You know what I mean? So just whatever heartbreak song you can think of, but "Love Don't Live Here Anymore." That's definitely very fitting, if you will. Live as an LIV. And just like just like how topsy turvy this is, and to the point where Dominic even flipped off the fans, and Pat McAfee said this dude's a piece. I was like, man, I just said a lot, said it live on pay per view, uncensored. So apparently, there's going to be a glimpse of what WWE is going to look like moving forward in the Netflix era. And you can tell that Dominic is the type of guy that likes to be catered to. He's the type of guy that if anybody can hear me, but like I say, Dominic is definitely the type of guy that likes to be flown out, or as they say, he likes to be flued out, right? You know what I mean? And just he's the type of guy that wants to have women cater to him. You know what I mean? Like he wants women to revolve their world around him. To if practically bow at his feet. Just fulfill whatever he wants without him as much as lifting a finger. So that's the type of thing that to him makes him feel more of a man, but it just reeks of toxicity, right? You know, um, as a matter of fact, even during Valentine's Day, Rhea was the one who paid for that dinner. That was on Rhea's dime, not his. So I wouldn't be surprised if he runs Liv through this, runs Liv through the same thing, right? Uh, you know, Dominic is a guy that likes to be catered to, and of course, the big, one of the ways to a man's heart obviously is through his stomach. So Liv has fed him, got him unlimited chicken nuggets, uh, whatever sauce that he wants, especially sweet and sour sauce, Chick-fil-A sauce, Polynesian, whatever whatever sauce he wants for his nuggets, unlimited supply. Got him a PS5. You know what I mean? So if anything, those were his calling cards, right? Some things that Rhea never ever did for him, and so other people have been bringing this up, right? And even though Rhea is heartbroken, kind of going for revenge, people have brought up as a reminder that Rhea kind of brought this on herself, because she was the one. I want to say that initially injured Liv. She certainly betrayed Liv by joining the Judgment Day, and I mean, as far as that, and it just I'm slow, with the way that she split Dominic apart from his dad. She was the main trigger for that, sort of key behind that division, and just she was the one who initially sort of let's just say kind of turned him out, if you will, and so so as far as that, and and just and the thing about it is that like I said, the thing about it is that the things that Liv has been doing for Dominic, Rhea never really did. So in a roundabout way, I had to say, part of it she kind of brought on herself, and and just just how bossy, if you will, Rhea's been, how toxic she's been rather, with the Judgment Day and things like that. And so now, that family has been fractured. You know what I mean? Um, so as far as that, it's just like, like in the end, when it comes to revenge toward Liv is one, but like I said, but it's just like it's funny how the tables turn. Eventually, I know that that of course Rhea's definitely gonna get a belt back, but like I say, just with the twists and turns, that we're seeing when it comes to the Judgment Day, and just how they're just deteriorating like right in front of our eyes, um, you know. But that was definitely a great match, and the thing that really carried it, not just the action, but especially with the story. That's what, like I said, that was if anything, that was the most gripping thing, about that match was a storyline, just the way that story was able to advance and move forward even more. So, thumbs up for that match. Moving on, we have the Intercontinental Championship match. Sami Zayn defended against Braun Breaker. So this, like sophomore match, or the second match, if anything was the opposite of of the previous opening match, as this is just a fast paced match. It wasn't some type of like 15 to 20 minute classic or whatever. Um, and so so of course initially they made crucial mistakes early by going for the signature moves way too soon. Um, So in the beginning, Braun had initially hurt his shoulder by spearing the ring post, and of course, Sami Zayn missed his haluva kick, and so Braun did a nice Frankenstein off the top ropes. Shade. I mean, like I said, a nice Frankenstein of shades of his uncle Scott Steiner, who along with his dad Rick, along with Braun's dad Rick. Were in the stands, they were in the skybox watching. So, like I said, just cheering them on, supporting them. And then Sammy hit Braun with the Blue Thunder Bomb and exploded suplex, and which felt like 5 minutes of the match, like super early. Let me say it like this: it felt like they both had maximum finishers at the beginning of the match, right? So Sami Zayn lines up Braun for a haluva kick to try and end the match, but was intercepted, shut down with the spear. And so, of course, the crowd in Cleveland, just barked like the dog-faced gremlin, in favor of Braun Breaker. So the thing is, initially, Braun looked like the heel, but in this match, he, was received as a favorite, as a hero. And so, of course, because of that, along with the momentum, Braun Breaker just broke Sammy in half with an even meaner spear to win the Intercontinental title. So your winner and the new Intercontinental champion is Braun Breaker. And so, and the thing is, with how fast this match went, if you blinked, you would have missed the majority of it. So of course, as far as that, there was no time for the crowd to be bored, but the match, was so short that it was, that there was, I guess there was more to be desired, as they both had more to give, but at least it's going to set a trilogy, right? And I knew that Braun was going to win a SummerSlam, because someone of his magnitude, someone with his upside, there was no way that he was going to lose. There was no way that not only there was no way for him that he was going to lose twice, and there was no way that he was going to lose that second match at a Big Four like SummerSlam. You know what I mean? There was no way that they were going to possibly let that happen. For him to lose back-to-back matches, especially with the second match being one of the top 4 pay-per-views of the company, they were not going to let that happen. There was no way that Triple H was going to let that slide, right? And plus, this is just Braun's time. You know what I mean? So it's just like, with someone with that upside, you definitely want to reward them at some point. There was no way that they were going to let him, walk away empty handed. So, congratulations to Braun Breaker as your new Intercontinental Champion. And I look to see, like I said, I look to see even bigger things in terms of, in terms of his reign as champion. You know what I mean? So as far as that, and then next up on the card, we have the United States Championship. Logan Paul defending against LA Knight. And so, of course, Logan Paul was accompanied by MGK Machine Gun Kelly. Of course, LA Knight showed up in Logan Paul's prime branded Hummer based on SmackDown. And, and not only that, but he busted out the blue tinted windows with steel pipe. And so of course, the match started off, with just nothing but punches, fists flying through the air. And so of course, LA Knight repeatedly slammed Logan Paul's head into the announce table before in the champ with a burning hammer neck breaker on the table. So then, of course, LA Knight rolls upon to the ring, and this is where the match is underway. So he made sure to inflict early damage, and the match was fairly balanced, very even all throughout, and the crowd was definitely behind the challenger, who's not even from Ohio. Meanwhile, Logan Paul, is actually from that state, but meanwhile, he's not a favorite, even though he's his hometown guy. He's not a favorite, so it's very rare that you see that, if ever. Usually someone who's from that hometown is seen as the hero. For example, in Canada, it's all about Bret Hart. There's Texas, Stone Cold, or Shawn Michaels, right? But when it comes to Logan Paul, or even Chicago with CM Punk, but when it comes to Logan Paul in Ohio, no way at all. It's like and LA Knight almost won, with the top rope elbow, but Paul answered with a springboard clothesline. And the thing is, regardless of how I feel about Logan Paul away from WWE, there's no denying his athleticism. And the biggest highlight of this match was when Logan Paul executed a spinning springboard moonsault to the outside. I was like, I never seen nothing like that. And I've seen a lot of wrestling, including Japan. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, like, his athleticism was just absolutely off the charts. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is that wasn't the only high spot of the match. LA, of course, LA Knight, landed an avalanche brainbuster that was, pretty scary to witness. Of course, fortunately, Logan Paul, Logan Paul was unharmed at least, and so of course MGK slipped brass knuckles in Logan Paul's hand, for the near the end of the match, and so the champ, so of course, sorry about that, so of course the champ had cracked LA Knight with those brass knuckles, but it wasn't enough to seal the deal. So of course LA Knight, flawlessly countered with a buckshot lariat into a BFT to win the championship. So your winner and the new United States champion is LA Knight. Yeah. You know what I mean? So of course, over the course of what is now a 21-year long career, LA Knight, was overdue for a singles title reign, and so he's now a United States champion. So this is his first championship on the main roster. And well deserved. Like I say, he put in his dues. Putting the time, putting the work, putting the effort, putting the dedication, and it has certainly paid off in a huge way. So congratulations to LA Knight for becoming your new United States champion, your new U.S. champion. Next up, the women's championship match, one of my favorite matches of the night. Nia Jax versus Bayley. Nia Jax challenged Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship, and she is the reigning Queen of the Ring, right? And so it's only fitting as the Queen of the Ring to be the number one contender. And Nia has put in the work Nia has worked hard. She has, you know, like I said, putting the work, putting the time, putting the effort, putting the dedication, everything that it takes to be great. Like as a matter of fact, since Nia has come back, you could tell that she loves her job even more. She's more grateful. She's more appreciative. Excuse me. Um, Nia also had a tremendous life change as she got baptized and and dedicated her life to Jesus, or at least like rededicated. And so she's not ashamed, not afraid to express her relationship with Jesus, right? And so, and of course, you could definitely tell the impact that she's becoming even more of a light um, among the locker room. She's more all in when it comes to being part of the roster than she was before, right? And so, for Nia to make the climb that she has made is noteworthy. You know what I mean? It is worth being mentioned, worth being acknowledged, worth being celebrated. You know, and by the way, Nia's face card never, ever, ever declines, right? She's always on one, and especially when it came to her outfit, you know, that shining silver, especially especially with that crown. I mean, that crown was epic. I mean, that gear was on point. And when I saw that gear, I was like, yeah, there ain't no way that Nia's going to lose with that. And I remember Stephanie Hardy on her podcast. By the way, shout out to shout out to Queen Steph Hardy. The Hardy Wrestling podcast. She brought up how Nia's outfit, especially her crown, was like a tribute to, at least like a reference to the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I think it was the queen's name, like the White Witch, or some type of like queen from Chronicles of Narnia. And so, so apparently, that crown looks very similar to the one that Nia Jax had. And so, uh, yeah, crown. Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, yes. As a matter of fact, it's a reference to the White Witch from the Chronicles of Narnia. So I guess you could say the other Chronicles of Nia, pretty much. Um, but of course, like the match itself was great, and not only that, but of course, Bailey's gear was not too shabby either. Um, as a matter of fact, it's a combination of her hugger gear along with her role model gear. So it's just like a mashup of her career. And of course, the tassels. Once again, of course, as we all know, Bailey's a huge fan of the late great Macho Man Randy Savage. To the point where to the point where she even does an elbow, right? And like I said, this match, was great enough itself. This is actually another match I was certainly looking forward to. What I mean? I was like, man, like I said, as far as that, so, you could definitely say that this felt a lot like a David versus Goliath showdown. And so of course Bailey had the advantage. Like when it came, like I said, when it came to speed. So if anything, her speed and experience provided her with different windows of opportunities. But Nia's just sheer strength and power, oftentimes this match gave her the edge as well. And of course, Nia, predominantly, primarily relied on power moves, relied on strength, obviously because of her size. So she's got a natural size advantage over everyone else on the women's side of the main roster. And so, as a matter of fact, Nia even delivered her signature Samoan drops both in and outside of the ring. And so, Nia was surprised, when Bailey kicked out of her bonsai Yokozuna bonsai drop finisher, known as the Annihilator. So like to see Bailey kick out of that, was completely unheard of. And then, the thing about it is that even though Bailey was a champion, she was certainly an underdog. And at the same time, she just shrugged off her label as being an undersized champion. Um, and so and the way she was able to shrug that off, if you will, was that when Nia was going for the Annihilator for the second time, surprisingly, Bailey lifted her up for a power bomb. Now, we've seen women pick up Nia before, you know, um, before and after um, uh, her, weight loss, whatever. Um, but even more recently, we've been seeing more women find ways to pick up Nia, or at least Nia's, doing a great job of selling it, right? Um, whether it was, for instance, whether it was Jay Cargill at the Royal Rumble, picking up Nia and throwing her off, like I said, whether it was Jay Cargill at the Royal Rumble, picking up Nia, and picking up Nia twice. You know what I mean? Like, as well. And of course, while ultimately eliminating her by herself. You know what I mean? So Jay Gargill showed that feat of strength. I mean, like I said earlier this year, the Royal Rumble when it came to Nia Jax. Bianca has picked up Nia. You know what I mean? Becky Lynch, even though that was mainly Nia that was helping her with that. Rhea Ripley picked up Nia. Was it at Backlash when she gave the Riptide, right? And so this time it was Bayley's turn. And so, given that track record, in a way, I'm not really surprised as I look back on it. But it was a tremendous feat of strength. You could pretty much replace Hogan versus Andre with, you can replace Hogan slamming Andre with Bayley powerbombing Nia. You know what I mean? So, more than impressed. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, this was incredible. So, I mean, and the thing about it is, even though it's not going to have the cultural mainstream impact of Hogan slamming Andre, but I think it's still, even more impressive at this point. But, ultimately, of course, ultimately Bayley was able to overcome, or sort of like the power disadvantage that she has against Nia. So then with that, we hear Tiffy time. So Tiffany Stratton came down the ring and teased, teased the idea of a Money in the Bank cash in. As this opened up the door for Nia Jax to 2 power bombs, and of course not just 1 but 2 more Annihilators to become the WWE Women's Champion. And so your winner and the new WWE Women's Champion was bound to happen, Queen Nia Jax. And after the match, we see Nia and Tiffany celebrate together. And so just for Nia's hard work to be rewarded for the things that she's been doing, just the improvement. If we were using NBA references, Nia would win the award for most improved player, because that's exactly what she is. Nia is the most improved player on that roster by far, bar none, without question. And the thing about it was that, it's just like, even though this match is not going to get the same type of love, some type of recognition, if you will, as the other sort of heavy hitter matches, but it was still solid. Like I said, it was something I was definitely looking forward to. As impressive as Bayley's, powerbomb was, it truly was. It's just that, just goes to show that Nia continues to grow as a performer. She's grown by leaps and bounds more than ever before. And so, when Nia's champion and her new BFF Tiffany, Tiff Stratton, as Miss Money in the Bank, is going to create a very interesting dynamic moving forward. As a matter of fact, Tiffy tried to cash in before during one of Nia's matches, but Nia turned around and and just stop, just give her a death stare and just stop tipping her tracks. Like, not on my watch, right? And I'm glad that Tiffany did not cash in on Bailey during this match, because that would have ruined Nia's moment, and what I mean, and we could not afford to have that, especially with the momentum that Nia's been on, and it would have been embarrassing to have the the rug pulled out from under her like that. So I'm glad they held off on that. As a matter of fact, it was best for Nia to win the way that she did, right? So speaking of heavy hitters, here we have, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as a special guest referee. As in my estimation, I would say that this drew shades of Bret Hart versus The Undertaker with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. You have a ref that has to call things down the middle, but he is at a crossroads, at a dilemma, because he is refereeing a match, between two guys that he cannot stand. That's how it was with Shawn when it came to being the ref, for Bret versus Taker. Meanwhile, as we see history repeat itself, that's where Seth was in between Punk and Drew. What I mean? So as far as that, it's just this three-way tension between Punk, McIntyre, and Rollins. It was palpable. What I mean? Like, it's just like you could cut that tension with a knife. And so right off the bat, Drew and Punk had a brawl. And so for each of them to refuse to pay attention to the 5 count, implore that that, like I said, it just gave Seth no choice but to get physically involved himself. So of course, as we all know, the action spilled to the outside as Punk had repeatedly rammed Drew's head into the steel steps. So this is when McIntyre retaliates and swings Punk into the announce table, and of course Seth Rollins just diligently applied the rules early, and but at the same time he ignored countouts to let both of them to let both of them beat each other up, right? And just for them to sort of let that steam off. And so even though Seth made sure to apply the rules early, he still, there are aspects where he just ignored things, especially when it came to the count out. What I mean? So if anything, he's like, I'm not gonna let this in. I'm not gonna have no DQ with the count. I'm going to let them pretty much have a battle to the death, if you will. And so of course Drew McIntyre manhandled CM Punk through at least the midway point of the match, as he was throwing around and slapping him in the face. And the main factor of this match was that the dynamic between the ref and the competitors, the dynamic between Rollins and Punk and Drew and McIntyre, much like how you could say the primary factor of the of the aforementioned SummerSlam match between Undertaker and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. With if anything, the primary factor was the dynamic between those three. And so of course, as far as that, as Drew McIntyre reached for a steel chair, Seth Rollins snatched the chair from him, and as it prompted Drew to give him a pie face, and then as Rollins wanted, of course, as Rollins wanted to hit Drew McIntyre with the chair, he nearly knocked out Punk with it. And so CM Punk put together, a collection of his signature moves, including that top rope elbow, which looks pretty sloppy, by the way, and his anaconda vice, sent up a crucial theme in the match. And so of course, the thing about it is that this is a very rare psychological error on CM Punk's part, as he retrieved the bracelet that that Drew McIntyre stole from him instead of completing his finishes submission move, the Anaconda Vice. So instead of completing the move to make Drew tap, Punk focused on the bracelet instead, which was a rare, silly mental error. So because of that, Drew takes advantage by catching Punk off guard when he was distracted and hit him with a Claymore kick, only get a 2 count. So then CM Punk didn't really pay attention to this, but Seth Rollins took the bracelet off the mat and wore around his wrist. I guess just for the sake of making sure it didn't get lost or anything. So then, as CM Punk put Drew McIntyre on his shoulders to go to sleep, he was once again distracted by the bracelet as he saw it on Seth Rollins' wrist. So as he saw Seth wearing that bracelet, he dropped. As he saw Seth drop that bracelet, he dropped McIntyre off his shoulders. So the focus was no longer on Drew, but it was on that bracelet. So because of that, he accused Seth Rollins of playing mind games. And so with Rollins wearing that bracelet, it didn't make matters any better. I'm not, like I say, I hope I'm not going over my time, but yeah, what I mean, like I say, like I said, along with with the heat that they have already, it's just like it was easy for Punk to make any accusations. So of course Rollins just Rollins vehemently denied denied that, and so so of course as Punk is distracted, Drew McIntyre shoves him into Seth Rollins to set up a future shot DDT, the same move that injured Punk at the Royal Rumble. McIntyre was looking to use that to put him away as far as his match. So then Punk counters with a GTS, but Rollins was still recovering. So so of course Rollins rolled back in, but of course Drew kicked out after a delayed 2 count. So then there was an argument between Seth and Punk. Maybe like I said, there was an argument between Punk and Seth. Of course, as well know, Seth Rollins was saying that Punk wasn't welcome in WWE after having his buttons pushed. So of course, because of that set Punk off, and as he hit a referee with the GTS before turning his attention back on Drew. But then, as he turned his focus back on Drew, McIntyre kicked him in the groin. It's called back to the Clash at the Castle where Punk did the same thing to him. So guys turnabout's fair play, and so of course because of that, so of course because of that Drew was able to set him up for a Claymore, and so as compromised Seth Rollins was, he made a slow, hesitant 3 count for Drew McIntyre to be the winner, and afterwards McIntyre snatched the bracelet as he continued to mock CM Punk, much like he did at WrestleMania 40. So much like the match with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, this match, if anything, the main priority for this match was advancing the storyline, was advancing, the long running drama over the quality of a match. This was very much a success. You make the case and say this is the best match of the night. And so of course Punk's rare, tactical errors would suggest and say that he had ring rust, which he does. So McIntyre finally got a measure of vengeance on CM Punk, and so of course Seth Rollins was brought back in as a very integral part of the feud, and so of course, like the main thing was to advance the story forward even more, much like Rhea versus Liv. So next up, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match with Gunther versus Damian Priest. Let's just call it class warfare, if you will, because of the way that Gunther had repeatedly called Damian Priest, was a street trash. I mean, and as far as that, of course, naturally, Damian Priest, naturally, Damian, take great offense to that, especially because he's from the Bronx. He's from the Bronx. He's Puerto Rican, and he's had to fight on the streets. He's had to fight on the streets, all throughout his life. And so those definitely trigger words for him. And I would say that this has to be the best Damian Priest match I've seen in a long time, if not the best Damian Priest match I've ever seen. I've never seen Damian, this motivated like this ever before. And being in the ring with someone like Gunther definitely caused him to, to elevate his game, if you will. So much like Bayley, Damian Priest enters this match as an underdog champion, and this was a stigma that was really emphasized very early on in the match. And so initially Gunther overwhelmed him with combination, with his deadly combination of power, technical brilliance, and just being an amazing ring general. And that ring general name is not just it's not just a cool nickname, but that's exactly what Gunther is. Like he is the consummate ring general. He is a wrestler's wrestler. This guy is a throwback. So even though it took a while, eventually Damian turned the tide with a top rope Hurricane Rana and a signature broken arrow. So the next phase of the match was nothing but strikes. It was like a chop fest, a slap fest, with Damian Priest's MMA inspired strikes versus Gunther's chops. Clearly, Priest, Priest had the more effective striking. I mean, as he chopped Gunther so hard that he made him bleed. I was like, man. That's highly impressive. And Gunther's arsenal, much of it, especially when it comes to striking, is consists of chops. It's like, man, so of course, I was like, that was huge. And so of course, Gunther's ring general reputation continues to precede him. And so Damian made a critical mistake of trying to second spinning kick. So of course, Gunther was able to telegraph the move and scoop the leg and plant in with the T-bone suplex. And so of course he just him with the combination barrage of strikes, flurry of strikes. And so of course Finn Balor tried to will. I said Finn Balor tried to will his Judgment Day leader Damian Priest to life as Gunther continue to chop Damian Priest like a tree, right? And so initially Gunther knocked Finn Balor off the apron, and so of course that lit a fire under Damian Priest. So of course because he planted Gunther with the razor's edge in South of Heaven, but Balor draped, of course Finn Balor, put Gunther's leg over the rope to break the count. Something that Damian Priest did not want him to do. And so at first he wasn't aware of it, but quickly he caught what he caught the incident on replay, and that set him off. He was furious about it. So then Gunther locks in a rear naked choke as Damian Priest tried to confront Finn Balor. And so, and the thing is, even though it looked like Priest was about to pass out, eventually he rolled over and almost pinned Gunther. We've seen that type of spot many times in different matches, right? So it's just that Priest could not ignore the betrayal and the treachery, and once again lunged after Finn Balor. Then, so of course, so of course after that Gunther intercepted that, like shut that down, him with the power bomb, and then proceeded to choke him out with the rear naked choke for the victory. And so your winner and the new world heavyweight champion, the ring general and king of the ring, Gunther. So this match, once again, was advancing a story, moving it forward. We saw a coup within the Judgment Day, a betrayal within the Judgment Day. And so we, as a matter of fact, we see the house continue to crumble. And if anything, SummerSlam is where the Judgment Day officially crumbled. So the thing about it is that this match was certainly drama heavy. Not so much between, like I say, of course, not only with the opponents, but especially more so in Damian Priest's case when it came to his own faction. Even though there was initially some type of sympathy for Damian Priest, But the thing is, it didn't hit the same as the other heroes, of that night. So it's just like even though there was some type of sympathy, but it doesn't really hit that hard, especially when it comes to someone like Priest. And so of course Gunther, it was inevitable that he was going to become. Sorry about that. Like I said, for someone like Gunther, it was inevitable that he would end up becoming the world heavyweight champion. For him to be the longest reigning intercontinental champion in WWE history. And first, okay, what's up? All right, so of course, a shout out to Louis Berry on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate that, and thank you very much for your comment. But yeah, like I said, as far as that, Gunther is definitely a ring general in so many different ways. He was the longest reigning intercontinental champion in WWE history. That's quite a number of days. Just look at it. But of course, eventually it was time for him, at that time to relinquish the title, and of course that freed him up to go into bigger and even better things. Like for instance, becoming the king of the ring. So that was definitely a launching pad for his success. To move into the main event, and now he's the world heavyweight champion. So this is greatness personified in more ways than one. So congratulations to the ring general Gunther. Now, last but not least, we have the WWE Championship match, the undisputed WWE Championship match, with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, the pseudo chief, the Timu chief of the Timu bloodline, right? And I must say that this match really felt like it was dragging. This match felt very long, felt pretty long-winded, especially the entrance. The entrance was definitely long, especially when it came to Cody's entrance. Cody's entrance was definitely long-winded, even though they were saying that that Pharaoh is really getting up there in age, so he's not going to really be on tour as much as before. So I guess this was their a little send-off, some like sympathy for him and whatnot. And of course, we saw Arn 9mm himself, Arn Anderson, giving Cody words of encouragement and support and whatnot. Even though in AEW, this dude was pushing Glocks, Glock Anderson, Arn 9mm. You know what I mean? So very interesting, a pleasant surprise. Rather a pleasant surprise to see Arn Anderson back in to see Arn Anderson back on WWE programming, back on WWE television, after after initially being released and having a long hiatus while being at AEW. And so of course, as far as that, Cody was obviously the veteran in this match, and there were moments where Solo was able to telegraph some of Cody's moves, but at the same time, I would say that this match certainly revealed some blemishes, if you will, especially when it comes to Solo. Is that Solo is not able to go the distance in matches that are 15 minutes and longer. You know, I know that they're building him to be more of a tribal chief. You know, trying to put him in the main event spot, things like that. You know, no offense to him, it's just like, you know, this bloodline, this Timu bloodline, if you will, bloodline Wolfpack, whatever you want to call it, it's not really hitting on on all cylinders for me. You know what I mean? I know, of course, even though this that this is still early for them, but it's just like it's hard for them to replicate what the original bloodline did. You know, and I will say that Cody certainly brought the best out of the best out of Solo, to the point where Solo was even trying to do it was even at one point was even trying to do a crossroads himself. But clearly this had to be bloodline rules because of interferences from the likes of Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, along with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. And I must say that Randy, I mean, this dude is just like, I mean, it's like he's almost evolving like a Pokemon or something. It's just like, whenever you see me, it's just like he's getting, bigger and more jacked, if you will. I mean, like, to the point where it was like the ring announcer the other night, matter of fact, this ring announcer listed him as 290 pounds. I was like, wait a minute, are you for real? This dude went from 245 throughout his career to now 290, 10 pounds away from 300. Man, it's like, man, it's just like, whatever he was doing on that hiatus with that back injury, like, man, I mean, like, seriously, I mean, he juiced, bulked up, turned to legendary Super Saiyan Broly, pretty much. You know what I mean? As I said before, when he made his return to Survivor Series, just unreal. But anyway, like I say, moving on back to the match. Like I say, as far as that, Orton and KO made sure to step in for Cody, and of course to be his support, be his assistants, if you will, but at the same time, of course, they of course, at the same time, they had their hands full of the bloodline. As a matter of fact, Jacob Fatu even did a splash off the top rope onto the announce table on the outside. Unfortunately, Jacob had had injured himself, and so I want to say it was on the knee, or at least like on his shin, at least somewhere within the area, and you could tell that this dude was legit injured. And the reason why I say that was as he was, as he was screaming marching orders as Solo, he was still on the floor. Like I said, I could tell that this dude is legit injured, and so but the biggest highlight of this match, right? The main thing that we were waiting for was to hear Roman's music hit, to hear the music of the original Tribal Chief, the real Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns hit. When I as a matter of fact, when I saw that said when I saw that said head of the table on that screen, I was like, it's going to mean one thing: the rise and return of Roman Reigns. An amazing new shirt, by the way. Of course, by the way, I definitely have to order myself. OTC. First, I was thinking it was over the counter. It looked like it could have been that, but but of course, OTC I think stands for like Original Tribal Chief or our Tribal Chief. And so Roman wasted no time, knocking out Solo with the Superman punch along with the spear. And of course, that set up for Cody Rhodes to hit Cody Rhodes to eventually hit Solo with ultimately hit Solo with the Crossroads for the win. And so as Cody had pinned Solo, he just stared at Roman like, there's no way. Like, I cannot believe this, you know. And Roman, at this point, even though he's got his eyes on the championship, he still has his eyes on family business, you know, because Solo screwed Solo. Solo can blame nobody but himself for that happening, right? You know, it's just like you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, you know. In Solo's case, because he called out the tribal chief, as they say in life, it's consequences and repercussions. You know what I mean? So, so of course, in Solo's case, he had to face those consequences and repercussions hand on. You know, as far as that. So overall, I would give. Sorry about that. So overall, I would give SummerSlam about an 8 out of 10. And so, that's like I said, overall, I'll give SummerSlam. Like I said, I would definitely give SummerSlam an 8 out of 10. And so when it came to the aftermath of the SummerSlam, Raw wasted no time. You know, and so of course now we see that Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest are now calling themselves the Terror Twins, as they were the founding members of Judgment Day along with Edge back in 2022. You know, so they were, if anything, they were the initial founding members. But now when you look at Judgment Day 3.0, there are no original members left in that group. You know, because Finn Balor was not an original member. Finn, as a matter of fact, that Finn had taken Edge's spot. So first it was Damian, Edge, and Rhea. Edge gets kicked out. Finn Balor takes his place. So that's Judgment Day 2.0. Then with that, they add in Dominic, and I guess reluctantly add in JD McBobblehead. So of course, like I said, that's Judgment Day 2.0, and at the very end, Carlito comes in. But now Judgment Day 3.0 has Finn Balor, Dominic. Like Judgment Day 3.0 has Finn Balor, Dimebag Dom, Liv, Carlito, and JD McBobblehead. So two of the original members on the outside looking in. Now they are called, they're calling themselves the Terror Twins, and like I say, they came for violence, they came for blood on Monday. So of course, that storyline advances. The storyline with Punk, Rollins, and Drew continue to advance. That, like I said, as far as that, and of course now, now we're gonna have. It's been announced we're gonna have a 2 out of 3 falls match for the Intercontinental Championship next Monday between Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn. As far as that, it's just like just really just so many different things that happen all at the same time. Now, here's another one I have to talk about. The New Day. The New Day definitely have some huge help on their hands with the addition of Odyssey Jones, as he made his debut on the main roster. Apparently, he's the new third man for the New Day, and you could tell that Xavier was kind of hesitant by giving him the handshake, because their thing was that they did not want to have to replace Big E. At the same time, they don't want to break up, but it feels like seeds are about to be planted. So of course, this is the first time I've ever seen Odyssey Jones on the main roster. The last time I saw that dude, he got speared on NXT by Braun Breaker. I mean, if anything, Braun Breaker speared that dude like he owed him like $5,000 or something. You know what I mean? And from that point on, we hadn't seen Odyssey Jones in a long time. If anything, I had a better chance of finding Nemo than finding a better chance to find Nemo than find Odyssey. But of course, as far as that, those were, those are some of the main storylines being pushed. Now we're going to see, of course, we're also going to see a Gunther versus Randy Orton in a rematch at Bash in Berlin. You know what I mean? So as far as that, and then also of course I've been mentioned mentioned when it came to NXT last night and Great American Bash 2.0. If anything, if anything, I'll say the biggest highlight for me was to see the Rascals. No, I was going to say MSK, but the Rascals. Of course, they ended up breaking up, because of Wesley, and so of course their breakup was shades of what happened with the Shield. Of course, and the thing is, because Shawn Michaels is running NXT, Wesley learned from one of the best, right? So as far as that, so for tonight, the main focus was SummerSlam. So I give, if anything, I give that 8 out of 10 WWE championship belts. You know what I mean? And so of course now moving, of course, now as of course now as a close out the show. I mean, of course, as we come towards the end of the show, if anything, I definitely will give birthday shout outs. As a matter of fact, last week on August 1st was also Carmelo Hayes' birthday. Of course, he just turned 30. On August 3rd, 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady turned 47. On August 4th, the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama, turned 63. Greatest of all time. On August 5th, New York Knicks legend and Basketball Hall of Famer, NBA Hall of Famer Patrick Ewing turned 62. That was on August 5th. On August 6th, the Admiral David Robinson, Spurs legend and Hall of Famer, turned 59. And of course, I want to give a special birthday shout out. Special birthday shout out. As a matter of fact, August 6th was also Mike Knox's birthday. Friend of the program. Congratulations to him on becoming a grandfather pretty soon. So of course that was his birthday. He turned 49. As far as on August 7th, Sable turns 57. On August 8th, Shayna Baszler turns 44. August 9th, Whitney Houston would have turned 61. Of course, on the same day, primetime Deion Sanders, Coach Prime rather, turns 57. Alexa Bliss turns 33 on that day. So August 10th, Rick Bowe turns 57. And on August 11th, Chris Hemsworth turns 41. And before I go, I would like to give a word of wisdom. Sorry about that. And of course, before I go, I would like to give a word of wisdom, and that is, with God, all things are possible. You are victorious because great is He that's in you than he that's in the world. When you put God in first place, you don't have to worry about being in last place. Please make sure to listen to this podcast please make sure to listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that you download podcasts. And of course, thank you very much for listening. And as a matter of fact, before I go, I definitely want to plug this new shirt that just hit the website. Of course, the new merchandise that's up now is an HBK Triple H shirt. HBK Triple H Run DMC style shirt. I call it DX Runs WWE. Of course, up on this link at the bottom, available for pre-orders. By the way, so like I said, HBK Triple H DX Runs WWE as a tribute to Run DMC. But yeah, like I said, that was just a cheap plug. But like I said, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. And may this day be the very best day of your life.